I head up the School of Simulation and Visualization, and we are very much sort of experts in computer graphics and 3D modeling. And when we talk about virtual reality, everyone thinks of the helmet-mounted displays that you wear. But actually, immersive computer graphics has been around for a long, long time. And if you think back to the 19th century, where we had these panoramic paintings that used to completely surround you, that in essence was a type of virtual reality. It was a type of immersive visualization. But of course, if we jump to the late 80s and the early 90s, we started to see helmet-mounted displays coming onto the scene. And this is what really got me interested in computer graphics and virtual reality when I was a computer science student. I think she's screaming because of, A, the cost of this equipment, and secondly, because the computer graphics that she's actually looking at was really dire, it was really terrible. And of course, jump forward a few more years, we've got the technology that's available today, the HTC Vive, and you're seeing this a lot more around. So this is really exciting technology. But of course, it's not just helmet-mounted displays. We've also got a real improvement in computer graphics. And if I think back to when I was a lad, and I was programming on my very first computer, which was a ZX81. There she is, this beautiful machine here, and I could actually program on these. I don't know if anyone remembers these, but you can actually program computer graphics, and you had this wide plethora of colors to choose from. You could have black or you could have white. And just to show you how computer graphics has improved over the years, I find if you compare monsters from the late 80s and compare it with the technology that we're able to do today. So of course, the games industry has completely driven the price of computer graphics cards down and the resolution and speeds up. And that enables us to do proper research at universities. And if you look at the next slide when it comes up, here we go. So Alien Isolation, this is a game which it demonstrates sort of a modern day monster. And you can see the computer graphics here, it's very realistic. If you play this in virtual reality, it's very frightening. I can't do it, it's too scary. But it's incredibly realistic. Okay, so I'm going to talk about virtual reality, and virtual reality is really everywhere now. If I walk down the shop streets, even the mannequins with the latest fashions are wearing these helmet-mounted displays. $2.3 billion worth of investment in 2016. That's incredible. 300% increase from the previous year. What other fledgling industry has this type of growth? It's incredible. Let's think of some applications. So virtual reality can be used for like skydiving simulators or paragliding simulators where you want to immerse someone in an environment before they actually do it firsthand, because when they're very frightened, when you're scared, your decision-making breaks down. The biggest application for VR is going to be computer games, but there's a huge potential within medical visualization and medical education. In April 2016, we had the first real-time surgery streamed over the internet that medical students could watch in VR. How much better is that than looking at two-dimensional photographs in textbooks to actually view and stand next to a world-class surgeon? I don't know why he's got a helmet-mounted display on. I'd be worried if I was the patient, because I think that's just for the photograph. At SimVis, we've created what we believe to be one of the most accurate three-dimensional models of the head and neck, and we've also worked on the rest of the human body. And again, using virtual reality, it's very, very good for you to actually be able to pull things apart and interact. Very complex human anatomy, but to be able to see it in front of me and pull things around and look around it and walk around is fantastic. We can educate dentists how to inject anesthetics into the mouth. You can feel the needle penetrating the gum or hitting the bone. Previously, they would practice on their friends after a few whiskeys. This is much, and it's legal. Now you can do it in virtual reality. So, huge improvements there. The Battle of Bannockburn in 1314, of course, it was a historic win for the Scottish over the English, and we created all the three-dimensional content for the new Battle of Bannockburn Centre, along with our colleagues at Historic Environment Scotland and Bright White. So if you want to create a virtual reality battle, what you need is a number of fighters. So what we did is we scanned in all the staff where I work, and here's young Bruce. So Bruce is a computer programmer by day, and he's a Scottish knight by night. And using light scanners, we can create a very accurate three-dimensional model of him. We can then clear up that data, we can apply photorealistic rendering, and then we can recreate a very accurate model of him, which we can then use in the battle. And here you can see how realistic that looks. Now, if he was to start talking, your brain would go, that's not real. because we're still not there yet, but we're getting there. We're really, really improving. And then we can use motion capture, and we can use other technologies, and put all this science together, and we can literally immerse you within the Battle of Bannockburn. So if you haven't been yet, please go to Battle of Bannockburn Centre in Stirling, and you can experience this firsthand. Now, I gave a talk to the BBC last week, and I called it VR, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And I played devil's advocate and spoke about all the bad things about virtual reality. And I quite enjoyed that, actually. One of the bad things about VR is, of course, you can feel nauseous if you're in the VR for a long period of time. Also, most helmet-mounted displays are just 90 degrees, when actually we can see it 220 degrees. And the quality of the resolution isn't that good enough. But the real problem with VR is we don't know what the long-term implications of using VR are. You know, should we let our children be using virtual reality? No, I don't think we should. If you actually look at some statistics, I think there's been a huge increase in the number of children who are developing short-sightedness. Why is that? It's probably because of mobile phones, tablet devices, etc. So we just have to be very, very careful with how we're using virtual reality, but there's huge applications for it. VR is not the panacea. It's not going to cure all of our problems, okay? But there are certain applications where it is absolutely brilliant at. And I'm going to finish on a little quote from one of my favorite engineers from the 60s, Ivan Sutherland, who developed the first ever helmet-mounted display. And he wrote this paper in the 1967 called The Ultimate Display. And if we're thinking about the future and we're thinking about where we want to go, he said the ultimate display would be a machine that could control the existence of matter. For example, a chair displayed in such a device would be good enough to sit in. With appropriate programming, such a device would literally be the wonderland into which Alice walked. And that's where we're heading. Thank you very much.